That game on Saturday against the Islanders was a complete train wreck. And again, I sort of agree with Montgomery after the game when he said, he didn't think he considered pulling the goalie, but at the end of the day, he didn't think it was Ullmark's fault. I think he's right for the most part.
Oh, not even close. Yeah, right.
The defense in front of him was a disaster. A disaster. And this has happened over and over and over again here in the last few weeks. There's no compete in front of the net.
It happened Thursday night against Vegas, which you weren't here Friday, Mike. Did you think that was more like a good win for the Bruins or them blowing a 3-0 lead and it was all the same crap all over again?
It was more pants scrapping.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. They got lucky.
Yeah,
Definitely.
they really did.
Yeah, and that, the front of the net stuff, because we touched on it on Friday. Some of that is size and physicality, don't get me wrong, but the other part of it is compete.
No, it feels like there's something up with the team. Like, it looks like they're checked out. I don't know if they're checked out.
Saturday was a checkout game.
Certainly they quit. I mean, they didn't show up.
Holy smokes, Kyle Palmieri, 3 goals in the first period.
So there's something wrong there. And is it guys looking ahead to the deadline? Is it Montgomery losing the room? Are there players who are checked out? Are there what? I don't know. How could I know? I can only see what's on the ice. And what's on the ice is a team that has something up with it. And it could be, like really bad and deep, or it could be nothing. Or, I mean, it could be just whatever. Could be trade deadline jitters, or who knows? The team could use a shakeup. I mean, like a real shakeup. I don't think there's any way, whether you think they have a chance or not, whatever chance you think they have, I think the status quo is not going to get it done because clearly something's off. And I'm not even just talking about they need another big defenseman to clear bodies or they need another guy to take faceoffs, which they do. I'm not even talking about X's and O's. I'm talking about the makeup and vibe of the team. They need a shakeup. And the only way you do that, it's not by trading draft picks to bring in players. It's by shipping guys out. And it's been, I think, the biggest failing of Don Sweeney or this group here is that they just have not made enough decisions on their own players. They're hoarders. They just hoard these guys and hoard them, and they don't want to get rid of them. And they even bring them back, Milan Lucic, and they can't help themselves. So peel some of these bodies out of the room. It is time for Jake DeBrusk or Brandon Carlo or Matt Grzelcyk or Linus Ullmark, which you're hearing more and more about. So it's time. And if nothing else other than those guys aren't producing or, have proven they're not, good enough to take you deep into the playoffs, to me, I want to do that to send a message to the guys that are left to say, not good enough. Bodies are going to start. We're not going to just, keep coming back with the status quo. It's not good enough. You're next. Something like that. Mazz? Put people on notice.
Definitely. There's, again, to me, the inability to police the front of the net, police it, like fight and compete is something's got to change here. That was pathetic.
Give me Friedman number 2. Let's hear some names.
And you look through their roster, and like Jake DeBrusk, I really don't like talking about him because of the obvious family connection.
Can we stop for a second? I heard that. What is that?
What's that about?
Is Friedman related to the DeBrusks?
Must be buddies with Louis.
Or is the father like a sacred cow up there? And he's like a really popular TV guy there in Edmonton. Oh, did you notice when you played out there? Did you know that Jake was Louis' son?
I heard that.
Did you notice that?
He's from there.
Like barf. Trade Jakey to Edmonton and get him back with his dad and out of our face. Why don't you try that?
Send Ullmark with him.
I think that feels like a nice package there. But so Friedman's afraid to talk about Jake DeBrusk because the family connection? What family connection? Or you don't want to say anything about Jake because Louis is going to come pop you in the schnoz?
Probably.
Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. Is Elliot Friedman related to the DeBrusks?
I don't know.
Is his sister-in-law close with Louis?
Married to him. Married in.
What's the family connection? What's he talking about?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
He's an unrestricted free agent. You take a look at some of the other guys. Grzelcyk's a free agent. There's a lot of noise around Ullmark. Now, one thing about Ullmark to know is that he has a half league no trade. And during the middle of a season, especially if you're leaving a really good team, it's hard to see players agreeing to that, right?
Oh yeah.
So like I don't have any insight on what Allmark might be thinking, but it has been hinted to me by some other teams in the league that in mid-season it's going to be tough to get Allmark to alter his list.
Oh, stop it.
So if that's real, and I do think the Bruins have at least investigated it, it's got to be somewhere he's already willing to go. And so I just think the Bruins are considering some things with roster players. And we'll see where it goes here. But I don't know what I want to put the percentages on here. But they're looking for centers. I think they do something on their blue line.
Okay, that's Elliot Freeman.
They got 3 UFAs on there.
Okay, enough. A little deliberate, wouldn't you say?
Oh my God! I was just thinking the same thing. Like, wow,
No, it's a podcast.
holy crap!
That's the problem with podcasts.
Spit it out
No,
already.
no. Podcasts all the time in the world. Put your feet up. Just a couple dudes just chit-chatting here.
They're looking
No
at
time
centers.
whatsoever. Yep, no.
Just want to make sure we're
This is why,
They need help
I'm telling you.
saying it
on the blue line.
correctly. Don't want to get into the information.
I know you don't like commercials out there. They
Wrong.
serve a purpose. They make one on the air spit out their cake because we have to go to commercial and then come back.
He is painful.
Problem with
Wow, that
podcasts.
hurts.
Anyway,
My ass hurts just listening to it.
are we gonna be held hostage by Allmark?
Yes.
Because he doesn't want to go to Edmonton. Oh, please.
Or any other Canadian team.
Yeah, make it clear to him he's on the out, and it works. Don't take no for an answer on that if you're the Bruins. But long story short, it's got to be a hockey trade. There's got to be bodies out, not just because you don't have any draft picks left to deal. You don't want to deal your young kids. You don't have cap space. It's the only chance for your team. You got to shake the team up. You watch them on the ice. That team needs a shakeup. So shake it up.